Mowing the lawn was my job. I was 12. I never asked for or expected any money for it. It was one of those things you did as a part of the family, you know. It wasn't so bad. Oh, there's a stick. A twig, really. The blades will take care of that one. Each little obstacle was a quick judgment call whether or not to play through. My dog Bucky had the run of the lawn, so I had to keep an eye out for... Oh, man, that was a fresh one. Older, drier, whiter, they just turned to dust, but man, you gotta watch out for the new ones. I like to sing, always did. When I was 12, so was Michael Jackson and Donny Osmond. It wasn't too cool to admit I listened to them, especially Donny Osmond, but my voice hadn't changed yet, and I could sing those songs and really hit the high notes. See, the mower was so noisy, I could sing as loud as I liked and nobody could hear me. It was like singing in the shower. Have you ever heard someone singing in the shower from several rooms away? Of course you have. You don't have the torrent of water spraying your head. The guy in the shower does. We have a tendency to think we're inconspicuous when we're anything but. Like picking your nose in the car. You may feel isolated, but the truth is you're framed like a picture on the wall for any one of 1,000 pedestrians and drivers to examine you and your bad habits. So, like a dummy, I'm singing at the top of my lungs. Sappy pop songs. Dean Martin and Nat King Cole from my mother's record collection. TV theme songs. Thinking, because I can barely hear myself, that no one else can either. Well, our house was right next to the big grocery store in town. The parking lot was adjacent to our lawn. One day my friend Brian Talindert's mother says to me, "We all really enjoy your singing when you mow the lawn." And I find out, for once a week, all summer for 2 summers, I've been giving a damn concert for all my friends' moms. It's the NeoRadio Hour. Hi, I'm Peter Donalds. This is the NeoRadio Hour, home of independent writers, musicians, and home tapers, the folk artists of the electronic age. We've got the usual eclectic mix of scenes, stories, and sound sculpture tonight, including a few Neo bits from our own studios. Regulars Mr. Sunshine and the Malords step aside tonight to allow more time for some listener contributions. And in conversation, it's an old friend of ours, sound artist L.X. Rudis. Well, right here, you know, you can always sing as loud as you want to. There's no need to be embarrassed. It's the NeoRadio Hour. Independent audio art.
I'm so glad you agreed to have breakfast with me on Tuesdays. Hardly ever see you since you moved into your little apartment. That snow sure is coming down. I know how you worry about being late for work. Are you watching the clock, honey?
I don't worry about being late, Ma. And I don't look at the clocks in this house anymore.
I packed a fried egg sandwich for your lunch.
You keep setting them ahead.
Well, I know how particular you are about runny yolks.
No, the clocks. They're not even close to the right time.
You want to look at the yolk before you leave, just to make sure?
Last Tuesday, I got to work 40 minutes early. Thanks, Ma, but I buy lunch downtown.
Oh, honey, now, I know you're in a hurry to go, so you won't be late, but...
Ma, I'm not in a hurry. I got plenty of time.
I just wondered if you
Drop off the drapes at the cleaners. Cripes, you asked me last week, and you've reminded me every day since. Except for yesterday when you had Rosa Sharon call me at the store.
Well, I know I'm not supposed to call you at work, so I thought I'd just have your sister. Oh, that reminds me. Don't tell your sister about you coming here for breakfast on Tuesdays. She might get jealous. I told her I sleep in on Tuesdays because Monday night bingo runs late. That way she won't call while you're here. So if she asks, you make sure you tell her that...
I'm not going to lie to Rosa Sharon.
Well, Cripes, I'm not asking you to lie to her.
Yes, you are. You're always asking us to lie to each other.
Well, honey, I'm sure you can handle any situation that comes up. You certainly don't mean to remind you that it's already 8:45, and then if you aren't the cleaners at the right at 9 o'clock, then there's a line, and you'll have to wait, and you'll be late for work, which I know you worry about. I put the fried egg sandwich in your briefcase.
Ma?
Yes, Tom?
I'm not going to work today.
Are you sick? I thought you weren't yourself. A mother knows.
I'm going to California.
Yes, California. Young Tom, like many other pioneers of the spirit, dreamed of a place where people weren't trapped together in close proximity for months at a time, where a man can be open and honest and never again have to eat a fried egg sandwich, never again stifled by the drapes of wrath.
I found this old postcard of Dad's from when he was in the Navy. It's my inspiration. I've heard tell that people there are honest with their feelings and that they don't judge each other. Ever.
San Francisco? What'll I tell people?
What do you mean, what'll you tell people?
Well, I can't very well tell people that you live in San Francisco.
And I saw on TV, in California, you can be anybody you want, and there's no guilt.
No guilt? How will you live?
My mind's made up. I'm leaving this morning. My car is already packed.
Your car is packed. How are you going to take my drapes?
Young Tom, like thousands of like-minded Midwestern men and women, had plenty of room in his car for drapes. For his was a cleansing journey, no emotional baggage on this trip, or so he thought.
Guilt, shame, fear, pettiness, insecurity, self-deprecation. If he thinks he's leaving without his emotional baggage, he's got another thing coming. Why, his great-grandmother came to Ellis Island with some of these. Goodbye, Tom. Be careful. Don't trust anyone. Live in fear. Don't forget your roots. You forgot the drapes.
Hey, Minnesota license plates. You're from Minnesota? No way, I'm from Chaska. Oh, you going out to the Sunset District?
You'll have to show me the way. I'm new to Frisco.
Oh, that's San Francisco.
Sorry.
Hi, I'm Bridget.
Tom.
Say, Tom, you need a place to stay? My girlfriend and I just split up, so I'm looking for a new roommate.
Your girlfriend? Wow, the first person I meet is a
Lesbian.
Wow, you just came right out and said it.
Whatever.
How can you do that? I mean, be a...
Lesbian?
Yeah. I mean, it's just not right.
Young Tom, like millions of other stout-hearted adventurers, discovered that his emotional baggage was indeed fattened and secured. Not only had he judged a person he'd known for less than 30 seconds, he was now feeling guilty for doing so.
I'm sorry. I thought I'd left it all behind. Oh, Ma!
You could also throw in shame, because he knew in his heart he only stopped for her because she was pretty, and he thought he could score.
I know you only stopped for me because I'm pretty and you thought you could score. Don't worry about it. Hey, it gets me where I'm going. Lesbian line usually keeps guys back. Can't afford cab fare, and I'm certainly not going to take the bus. Come on in.
So, you're not a lesbian?
Depends. You going to live here or not?
You're not being very honest with me. I thought everyone in California was honest and open.
Well, open maybe.
Say, what's all this?
Oh, just stuff I've collected here in California. Flakiness, distorted body image, new age gullibility.
Why, this room is filled to the ceiling.
Oh, yeah. I did Scientology for a while, and then 3 years of therapy.
Did you come out here with emotional baggage, too?
Sure, the basic set. Guilt, shame, self-pity. It's all been under this stuff for years. They hold the rest of it up. Without them, it would all come crashing down.
Well, I don't see any guilt.
And you won't. Not in California. I think it's a state law or something.
You're right. Look at my baggage. The guilt. It disappeared. California is cool. You're cool.
So, I guess that means you're staying. Great. Tomorrow I'll show you around and introduce you to all my friends. We'll tell them you're my cousin. Oh, I'll set the alarm for bright and early. How's 10:30?
Is that clock right? Well, my watch says...
Look, time and space are relative. I felt a lot of negative energy in that last comment. I can make breakfast in the morning. You like fried egg sushi rolls? Hey, oh, that's right. You've got a car. Excellent. I need to get my drapes ionized.
I'm not sure I can stay here.
So young Tom, like millions of other intrepid voyagers, learned the truth behind the myth. Petty lies and emotional games lurked behind every door, from the single-frame ranches on the frozen tundra of Minnesota to the stucco flats on the sandy landfills of California.
Where will you go, Tom?
Well, I'll be everywhere, wherever you look. Wherever mothers are lying to their children, I'll be there. Wherever incompetent therapists and spiritualists exploit the lost and confused, I'll be there too. I'll be in the knot, in the gut of husbands and wives who spend a lifetime in denial about deep psychological stress, and in the sweaty palms of bridegrooms who have no idea what it means to be a man because their fathers never had time for them. And when our folks are finally able to get in touch with their feelings and communicate them honestly, I'll be there too. I love you.
I am a lesbian.
Hydroponic. MPNE. Tubes, wheat, lettuce.
Red and blue array.
Red, photosynthesis. Lettuce seed germination.
Blue, phototropic orientation.
3 blues head on.
3 blues side.
Relative intensity, epoxy lens, semiconductor chip.
Light dispersion, fingerprint, footprint.
Monolithic array.
3 blues, spectral scan.
And what's all that? It's the NeoRadio Hour. Frog.
Dark depths of space. It's so cold out here. In the absolute blackness of space. No light, no sound, no friends, no crown. To cover my dreams. I've got dreams. I have dreams. Of consciousness. To be conscious. To be able to move through space as I wish to move. To be able to go down to planets where life teems all around. A small crust of entities pulling and pushing, moving and digging, eating and dying. The ground. I am without others.
It's the NeoRadio Hour.
Be our guest, 'cause we know we are the best. There's so much of too much all around. Who says that more is less? Wearing vests on our chests, so we look like all the rest. We've been trapped at Disney for so long, the public we detest. We are pests, we're repressed, and we cheat on all our tests. But we can't say how we really feel and get it off our chest. It's our quest, we detest, all our closets are a mess. But you'll never think to look inside, we bought up all the press. Be our guest, 'cause we know
Come on, kid, hang on.
Let's
go,
I got
let's
it,
go.
man. Don't worry. Got it.
All right. Right through here.
I can't believe they want all these new attractions done by New Year's Eve.
It's hard to believe, huh? 25th anniversary of the new millennium.
Hi, I wasn't even born yet. What's this one?
I don't know what it's called, but it's a 1990s theme. Relive the 90s.
90s?
Something.
Who are these people?
Dummy, they're not people, they're Trons.
Trons? What do you mean?
Yeah, animatronics. Interactive animatronics.
Huh?
Go ahead, poke one of them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I get it.
See?
Yeah.
Right. See, the whole deal is that guests, they come through here,
Yeah.
and then they can talk with people from the past. I don't know, thank them for paving the way for our bright new future or something.
Thank them?
Yeah.
God, if these were really people from the past, I wouldn't thank them. I'd warn them. I'd tell them what you told me.
Kid, I wasn't supposed to tell you that stuff. And the Trons, they got ears.
Yeah, well, I would. I'd tell them. I'd tell them everything. Now,
I wish I'd never told you all this.
the 90s was pre-Disney, right?
Yeah, technically it was pre-Disney. They already had, let's see, Disney World, Disneyland, so they had Florida, Southern California, parts of France and Japan. But it wasn't until later. I guess I was probably your age when President Limbaugh signed the papers. The whole thing goes over to Mickey. He moves the White House down to Orlando. They put a new face on Mount Rushmore. Boom. Disney's the last founding father.
Right, but you told me it used to be different. Like people used to vote. Like my grandfather was
right.
a voter.
That's right. What did he vote for?
Public figures.
What, like Mickey Mouse?
Well, yeah, sort of. Presidents, representatives.
That's right.
There were people,
Right.
and they were for the people and by the people, and people had a say. And
Kid, wait, don't get so enthusiastic about it. Jeez. I mean, it's much better now, They vote for us. The polls are everywhere. They're always trying to figure out what the best market is. Jeez, I never voted even when I could. Nobody did. Huh. You remind me of my mother.
My brown eyes?
Nah, 80 years old. She still pines away for the old days. And what was she? A pro-choice welfare mother with 3 kids, and, well, later she had a career in journalism.
Journalism?
Yeah, journalism. Newspapers.
News?
Newspapers.
Papers?
Jeez, kid.
I
Well, kind of like our catalogs, but with a whole lot of useless, depressing stuff about the rest of the world. They called them newspapers because they made them out of paper.
Huh?
Paper. They made it from trees. Trees where the birds used to live. Birds, like the little guy in Aladdin.
Oh, yeah, Aladdin.
Yeah,
that was a classic.
Birds.
Yeah, all right. You mean your mother could read?
Yeah, for all the good it did her. I mean, she told me herself, reading just made her feel, what's the word she used?
Grumpy?
No.
Dopey? Sleepy?
Helpless. That's it. Helpless.
I don't remember that one.
No, kid, helpless. Like, what's the point? Can't do anything about it.
Oh.
Helpless.
Oh. So is that how you guys feel? I mean, is that what the 90s are like?
Kid, they're trons.
I'm trying to remember what you told me. Okay, I would really tell them.
Jeez,
okay,
I
now.
wish I'd never
tell
told
me.
you all this. All right.
How does it start?
First, the corporation.
Yeah, that's right. First, the corporations, they buy out all your Mickey Mouses. I mean, your politicians.
Kid, we're better off.
And then they merge with each other and become bigger and bigger corporations. And then they take over all your networks and media.
Kid, this is ancient history.
And then they buy out all the public lands and the
natural resources.
No, not the banks. Them too, but the the wildness.
Kid, natural resources.
Oh, right. Okay. And then they took over the schools.
Well, of course they took over the schools. What else? I mean, at that point, with all the movies and the merchandising, the kids wouldn't listen to anybody else anyway. I mean, geez, it was only logical. Listen, schools, libraries, transportation, pharmaceuticals. Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
What was your favorite cereal when you were a child?
Ritalin Puffs.
See, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, but
Kids
I don't
need medication. Ritalin, computer games. We never would have made it into the 21st century if Disney hadn't taken over.
Well, yeah,
Kid,
but
listen to me now. Pre-millennium parents.
Yeah.
Their biggest worry was kids rebelling against authority. What kid is going to rebel against Disney? We haven't had that trouble for 30 years.
30 years, but this is only 2025. You said the 90s was pre-Disney.
Technically, I said. See, what people of the 1990s didn't understand. By then, Disney already controlled the children. After that, there was no turning back.
Oh, are you ready for this? Where are your children?
They're trons, kid.
Oh, yeah. They're good, aren't
How
they?
we really feel and get it off our chest. It's our quest, we can test. All our closets are a mess. But you'll never think to look inside. We bought up all the press.
It's the NeoRadio Hour.
be well. They call me Redbeard. They call me Redbeard. I'm patching my eye, sore by my side. It's anchors away, come the high tide. I gave up for air, you better beware. They call me Redbeard. 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 They call me Redbeard.
The Sphinx is so old, even the ancients didn't know how or why it was there. The watermarks eroding its base are in excess of 9,000 years old. Ultrasonic soundings indicate a chamber far below the left front paw of the Sphinx. Ancient records were buried there, expanding our heritage, explaining the lie. I had come into Wendy's to escape the weather, and I couldn't help but notice his gaze. He was disproving Einstein's theory on napkins as he sat in the cafe. Just Bob from Oregon. He said he was from a family of doctors. His mother was a doctor, his father was a doctor, his grandfather was a doctor. He told me he was in touch with the ships. They were beaming everything to him. His pockets were crammed with mathematic calculations and scribblings of ancient texts. He told me he studied the classics, that he could read Greek and Hebrew, and for a long time hieroglyphics. He said there was a door on the flank of the Sphinx, thereby to enter a passageway leading to the chamber underneath the falls. He said we were coming to a crossroads in 2013 and everything would be revealed very soon. Just Bob from Oregon. He said it was cruelty to split the atom, not brilliance. It was cruelty to split the atom. It had led us down a dark, dark corridor. He said that in the upper third of the Great Pyramid at Giza was a chamber guarded by a metal door with as yet undisturbed archaeological evidence going back tens of thousands of years in human history to a time of significant extraterrestrial contact. Just Bob from Oregon.
You're listening to the NeoRadio Hour. I'm Peter Donalds, and it's time for Conversation Collage. This time it's sound artist Alex Rudis with some of his thoughts and his sound, and a few other surprises thrown in as well.
I had that.
No, I should love computer screens and doing comprehensible things on sort of an irregular basis. I've been sequencing a lot lately, but mostly what I'm doing right now is, in terms of work, is kind of administrating this one thing, this one video game project. So that's kind of
doing that. You've been into that for a while, though.
Yeah, I guess going on 5 years now. Yeah.
Is it a company or?
I work for all the biggies actually. I work for Sega and Nintendo and
commercials.
Pardon?
You're a freelancer for that?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. And I consult and I also compose.
Are you the guy in the commercials who goes, Sega, Sega?
No, but it's a friend of mine named Jim Madison.
Oh, really?
Funny story about that. They were apparently using the recording studio at Colossal Pictures where he worked. He's actually an animator and animation director. And they had voice talent in. And apparently, somehow he just happened to be in the studio and he happened to, like, sort of just, he's this kind of exuberant dude. And he just went bursting in and just kind of started squawking Sega. They decided they liked those the most and they decided to start using them on their commercials. And they had not recompensed him for his efforts, you see. So he was able to use his attorney to, apparently he got about $15,000 out of it for that.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, there's a little bit of video game scuttlebutt for you.
Hey, I have a Mod Mac album here.
Oh, that's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, it's an album. I don't have a record player.
Oh, good. Well, you know, you can use, like, straight pins and a piece of plastic and just kind of, like, run the straight pin around on the groove.
Yeah.
As long as you keep most of your hand fairly steady, you can actually hear the music.
That's a little more interactive way of doing it. You can really kind of control it that way, too.
Yeah, it's a little too interactive for most people, but... No, I used to do that, actually, when I was a little kid. I'd take my little cheap stereo, and then I'd take, like, cellophane from, or celluloid from, you'd buy a shirt, they'd have those collar stickers that were clear plastic.
Yeah.
So you'd stick a pin through that, and use it kind of like a resonator, and then I could, like, play records and just sort of, like, listen to them acoustically through the resonating celluloid. You know, of course, it chewed the hell out of the records, but, you know, I really wasn't into audiophile quality back then anyway.
Did you figure that out all by yourself, or did your dad show you how to do it?
No, I figured it out myself.
You did?
Yeah, you could do stuff like you could actually tape like several of them on a record, so you could play like several grooves at the same time and stuff.
How old were you when you did this?
Oh, I don't know, probably about 13.
This kid's a genius. When I was 13, I was making dirty tapes. A bunch of friends and I got together and we did this radio series of detective stories. And you can imagine 13-year-old boys.
Indeed.
They were just full of real, none of all sex written by, 4 virgins and full of, poop humor and stuff. It was really good.
Did you save any of that stuff?
Yeah, I still got it on tape.
Oh, great. Boy, it's about time for re-syndication.
I think so.
Really decent production proudly presents a Detective Paul Cletus adventure. The case of the missing jockstrap.
Lip marks. Someone stole your jock with their mouth. Well, not much to go on, but I'll take your locker down to the lab and have the lip marks run through.
Later, at the lab.
Well, Cletus, by running the lipstick through the lipstick on the locker whodunit detector, I would say it had to be Jackstrap Jackson.
I'll check her out down at HQ.
Later, at headquarters.
Well, Cletus, old Jockstrap Jackson is still in the pokey from her last caper.
Oh, pooh, a dead end. Sarge, get me your files on all the jock nappings in the last 5 years and send them to me at my home.
I'll get on it right away.
Later, at our hero's apartment.
I hear the phone.
It's Van. I've come up with a list of 3,726 names of women who have stolen jocks in the past 5 years.
Okay. I'll take a guess and say it's the 2,174th name on the list.
That's Paula Puberty.
Okay, I'll check her out. I'll speed over there in my brand new customized 1951 Studebaker with squirt guns in the bumpers, erection seat, rubber-proof windshield, and sperm screen. Goodbye.
Our hero speeds to Paula's apartment.
This is Secret Agent Parkway. Let's open up.
Oh, wow. Come on in there.
I'm looking for Paula Puberty.
Man, like she's all around here.
Paula enters.
A friend of mine about that time got a hold of, I guess his dad had a reel-to-reel tape machine that actually had telephone level inputs and outputs on it. Yeah. You could actually wire in on it, it would accept telephone signal. And they figured out how to, it was one of the types of machines that had separate recording and playback heads. I guess they figured out how to like run a byte out of the tape or something like that, so that it created like more like a 7-second delay or something like that. And they would just dial people up, and someone would answer the phone and say, hello? And then like about 3 or 4 seconds later, they'd hear in their earpiece, hello? This, who is this? And then, who is this? Hello? Hello? Who is this? Hey, what's going, hello? What's going on?
LX Rudis, sound artist on the Neo Radio Hour tonight. And at LX's encouragement, we dug out an old tape, 20-plus years old, prepubescent teens, the creative juices flowing. Believe me, the things we could not play, we didn't, and they were quite amazing. It's the Neo Radio Hour. Independent audio art.
Hardwick and McGee's carpet mill dominated a neighborhood of 2- and 3-story houses, corner stores, and tap rooms. An edifice, a fortress of the Industrial Revolution, where they dyed and knitted wool into carpets for the homes, grand hotels, theaters, and boardrooms. The factory took up a block and a half and had a bricken bridge that arched across Marshall Street to connect the mill with the warehouse. A uniformed Burns man stood sentry at the towering iron gate to the courtyard, where big clean trucks, two-tone dark brown and maroon, loaded up with bolts of carpet. The thundering looms and the high click and shuffle of the mechanical weaving rods could be heard for blocks. Neighbors had to sleep with their windows closed when McGee's ran a night shift. The roar would attenuate each day at noon as men in handmade paper work hats and ladies in slacks gathered outside the factory to eat lunch, play some half-ball, shoot the breeze, or place a number with my father, the local numbers man. His betting booth was an unused guard station at the employees' entrance.
Play it again, Reds. 621, Benny, straight up, the way you like it.
The numbers racket, explained to me one night after homework at the kitchen table, using the racing results of the Daily News as a visual aid, is a 5 and 10 cent lottery financed by the mob. The game, as I recall, requires the monthly selection of a racetrack, whose results supply the daily number. By adding the columns of win, place, and show of a particular race, then using the last digit from each total, you come up with the hit.
Give me 508 in a box. You got it, kid.
Boxing was a way to play, so that your three numbers could come out in any sequence for a hit.
Let me put a quarter on 639. Here's a tip. Box 247. My sister-in-law had a kid last night.
People dreamt numbers. Books were sold at local newsstands that supposedly enabled you to translate your dreams into numbers. My mother was involved in this periphery of the game. She was sought after by other women in the neighborhood to counsel them in matters of numerology. Because she was the wife of a number writer, and partly because she was a Glaswegian, being a foreigner, people gave her respect in such spiritual matters. She was thought to be an oracle. While she wasn't much interested in the numbers game, she enjoyed the company and conversation brought to her by being Millie the Mystic. It seems like there was always some Floss, Lil, or Betty over for tea in the afternoon. They'd tell their dreams and discuss their significance.
My sister Margaret had that dream last year, and 275 came out on the 5th of the month for 2 months in a row. Oh, I think falling downstairs is 6. Let me look that up in the book.
I enjoyed being around for all that dream talk and the fuss that the ladies made over me. If anyone needed a real seer, Mom would arrange a meeting with Amy the Persian. I once, just once, asked my father how he felt about being associated with the mob. From his chintz chair thrown by the mantel, cross-legged, smoking a cig and tapping his feet, clad in boxer shorts and a crinkle cloth shirt, he told me,
Now look, kid, the government and the mob, they're the same deal. They both got the money, they both got the guns, they tell you what to do. Me, I'm a number writer. That's my job for the mob. I don't shake nobody down or carry a gun or anything like that. Hey, I used to be a soldier. I blew up airplanes and little Filipino kids for the government. That was my job for them. Then, as usual, with mention of the war, he launched into one of his neighborhood famous anti-establishment rants. General MacArthur, he's sitting in a goddamn boat. Me, I ain't got no goddamn toilet paper to wipe my ass on a goddamn river, you know?
If we lived in England, I'd be a goddamn upstanding citizen. Dad had me and 2 runners working for him. Both of the runners were named Gus. Stogie Gus, who got his moniker from the practice of hiding his numbers in a rubber cigar, did a decent take at Stetson's hats. Gus the Mummer, thus named for marching in the parade every year as one sort of feathered fantasy or another, had a small book at the wax plant by the railroad. My job, and well-hidden secret from my classmates at the Fair Hill Elementary School, where I was class treasurer and a member of the safety patrol, was to collect the Gus's dailies and bring them back to the house for my father to memorize. His head was full of numbers. He remembered every bet and never missed a payoff. With such a gift, you'd think he would have made it as a practical man. But Dad was an 8-point vet, and spent more of his time trying to forget. Stogie's drop-off was an alley behind Orkney Street. where the dogs barked and threw themselves against the rickety wooden backyard fences, jamming their snarling snoots through gate gaps as I ran through the narrow, overgrown passageway, dodging turds and broken glass to snatch a bag of numbers from behind the rusted lamppost. I appreciated Gus's habit of triple wrapping his take. The thought of handling pieces of paper fresh out of that slobbery cigar, I'd rather pick slugs. The crafty mummer stashed his wad, after dipping it in some wax, in the scaffolding of an old water tower on the American Street Railroad. I would climb above the diesel tattoo of the slow-moving freight trains, always careful not to be spotted by the cops or a railroad dick, to find Gus's translucent glob. In my King's Tower, fort, lookout, Robin Hood tree, I could relax a bit with a fish cake sandwich, my favorite, and survey my domain. Men moving bales and crates with hand trucks, banging and cutting and welding in the yard of a sheet metal plant. Some gals on the fire escape of a sweater factory, having a ciggy break. Cattle and pigs jammed into open slatted freight cars, stinking, moaning, and squealing on a slow trip to become scrapple and ham hoagies. I don't think I ever saw a train do more than 5 miles an hour on those tracks, which is why I never believed my mother when she sang me, "The kid who got his legs cut off playing on the railroad." One day, perched in the superstructure carving a hand grenade out of Gus's ball of wax, I spied a big black Cadillac crunching across the gravel, headed my way. Quick stashing the grenade in my school bag, I leaned back and blew a bubble from a wad of sweet pink bubble gum, playing it cool as a smile in a suit hopped out of the caddy and yelled up to me, "Hey, Redsy, come here a minute. I want to ask you something." Sliding down the pipe, I checked out the guy's haircut, the material of his clothes, his shoes. He wasn't a cop. I was relieved, but didn't drop my guard. Dad always told me, with the back of his hand to the side of his mouth, "When it comes to the numbers, kid, mum's the word," finishing up his advice with the zipper move across his lips. "Hey, you're Reds' kid, ain't you?" I gave him my vacant and wondering look. "It's all right," he said disarmingly. "Your dad and I know each other from McGee's." Scrunching my face into a what, I told him, with innocence that surely matched his charm. "My father works at Cuneo, and he has brown hair." The smile kept on smiling as I sided away. As he returned to the back seat of his car, he said, "Okay, kid. Maybe I'll see you later." The caddy rolled away, and I took off like a cheetah, taking a shortcut through the coal yard. I scrambled over the pyramids of hard black anthracite, making good time, but I made the mistake of jumping into a pile of volcanic ash-like pea coal, filling my sneakers with spiky bits. It was like being in a slow-motion nightmare, a sensation that intensified when old man Fusco came after me with his dusty broom. "Hey, you little spare rib! I catch you in here again, I kick your ass!" I made it to Huntington Street, breath spent, to find the caddy parked outside my house. My mind reeled with scenarios of the big bust, where the family held hostage by a rival syndicate. Turning around in crucifixion pose, about to grasp my head in desperation, I noticed the Cro-Magnon driver of the Cadillac. "Hey, kid, it's okay. You don't have to get your bowels in an uproar." He smiled and waved his long arm towards 428. "I'm sure Jimmy's got something for you." Stumbling melodramatically through the front door,
I was greeted by my sisters, Eileen and Kathleen, who danced around the entryway with shiny quarters in their little palms. He's here, they sang. Mom was equally buoyant. She sensed my relief. You did good, buddy. Go in the kitchen. He wants to meet you. Around the table with my father were some familiar faces. Bibbsy Callahan, a numbers guy from Kensington who drove a daily news truck. Nails Delaney, who didn't get his name for his manicure. Teddy Siegel, owner of the striptease joint at 6 and Lehigh, and the smile in a suit, who turned out to be Jimmy Bolt, top numbers man in North Philly. Hey, Millie, who's this strange kid you let in? My kid's got black hair and goes to Groton. Everyone laughed. The knot inside my skull loosened. Nails asked Bibbsy. Hey, Bibbsy, what's Groton? You had me going there, kid, said Jimmy with good-hearted sarcasm. He introduced himself and slapped a $5 bill in my hand. Dad gave me a proud wink. Jimmy's 5 spot was like a medal from the president. Give us a take, kid. From my World War II surplus gas mask bag, I let stogies wide roll across the table. The mummer's grenade required some drama, so I bit a chunk off it, John Wayne style, and let it sail across the room. The kid's like his old man, snickered Nails. What an actor. Okay, buddy, stoke 'em. Another duty of my job was to make sure that the number sheets were burned. While Jimmy and the bunch, their jaws hanging open, watched my father give the small pieces of paper the once-over, then roll them into darts and shoot them through the grating in the wall, I stood in front of the coal furnace in the cellar, stoking the hot pile with a long iron stoker, making sure that the little wads of paper that rattled down the flue became ashes. The squat iron furnace was like an old tree growing out of the dirt floor. Its limbs spread about the room into the ceiling. The voices from the kitchen came through the open duct, reverberating and a little muddy. The rhythm, tone, and especially the silences were heavy with the words that told my father that he could no longer be a numbers writer. Raids, you've been one of the best number guys I ever had, but you've become too well known. Too much of a character, added Nailsy with a snort and a nudge from Bibbsy. I crept to the top of the cellar steps and looked into the room. These last couple of months, I've been paying the cops more than their fair share to keep you on the street, Raids. Yeah, I understand, said Dad. That fat-ass Officer Leary from the 26 has been busting my balls for the past 6 months with his hand out every time I see him. Jimmy produced an envelope from the inside breast pocket of his fine jacket. This is to show you our appreciation, Raids. It should tide you over till you can find some new action. I don't know who was more devastated, me or Dad. For a split second we saw each other. The look that passed between us was filled with a number 9 sadness. It was the first time I saw my father as something other than a hero. It could have been then that we began to be more separate human beings. I went back to the coal bin and just stared a while into the dusty black pile. I picked up a handful of the nuggets and wished that I could press them into diamonds. I side-armed a few through the mouth of the furnace. They crashed into the glowing orange coals, filling the belly of the heater with hot sparks.
The NeoRadio Hour is written and produced by Peter Donalds and Frank Skillman. Contributing artists this time around, the Intellectual Monarchs, Rick Engdahl, Pistol Noon, High Strangeness, Seth Evans, and the Dudley Riggs Brave New Workshop in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Please contribute your work as an independent artist, writer, musician. Everything you hear on the show comes from independents like you and me. We're out of time. Thanks for listening. I hope you taped it. I'm Peter Donalds.